Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Brenda. This is going to be a real quick video, if I can do this quick. I'm doing this, I'm going to talk about soil just a little bit because I had some issues this week. These two plants I bought at the same time and about 6 weeks ago. And I noticed the other day that leaves were yellowing. And I kept picking, for about a week I noticed. And I just pick them off. And then finally I realized that the soil was still wet. So, and I couldn't understand why that was happening because it had been at least 10 days since I watered it, but the soil was still wet. And then what I realized is when you go to what the nursery does, the nurseries who grow them from seed and then take them to Home Depot or wherever they take them, they put what is called peat moss, which you've probably seen peat moss. I won't show the package because I'm not advertising the product here. But peat moss this is peat moss dry. It's like a dry dirt, a real dry, feathery, soft dirt product. And this is what I use because I make my own potting soil mixture. And I use 60% peat moss and I use 40% perlite, which are those little granular white beady things that you see in soil, in your plant soil. But peat moss, what they do is they use peat moss because, okay, this is the soil I took from this plant before I repotted it just a few minutes ago. And it's still, let's see if you can see. You see the water coming out of that? Now this is from 10 days ago. And that's what peat moss is supposed to do. It's supposed to keep the moisture in. And so when they send it from the nursery, they want to keep that plant moist while it travels across country or where it's coming from. When it gets to the store, they don't know how long it's going to be before someone, should I take my glasses off? I'm not going to. Before someone waters that plant. So they use pretty much all peat moss, but you might see some bark in there sometime. But basically, this is what your plants are going to be in. And so it's sitting in just this peat moss, and peat moss gets dense. See how it sticks together? It sticks together. It's like, So when you put the perlite in it, the perlite helps. Okay, I put some in my hand. See, the perlite makes it airy and lightweight. So what I did was, and what I'm going to do for a lot of plants when I get them is I'm going to, hold on when I first get them, I'm going to hold on to them for a week or two. And then I'm going to replace them. I'm going to take the plant out and just clean off most of the soil off of the ball. Try not to disturb the roots very much. Just clean off most of that peat moss. And then I'm going to put my mixture, which I just used, so therefore I don't have any to show you. I used it but this is what my mixture looks like when it comes out. It's the peat moss and the perlite. It comes out into a nice soil for my plants, and it gives it air, see, so that the air can go through it so that it can dry out, because it needs to dry out. It cannot stay all stuck and wet like this, or eventually the roots will rot and you'll wonder what happened. What did I do? I left it in the pot that it came in. I left it in the soil it came in, and I watered it very little, and it still rotted on me. So these are tricky. I'm telling you, I have talked to several people who do this for a living, who at nurseries and whatever, and it's like a science project. Every plant is different. There's so many different situations. It's like a science project. It's like learning about science all the time when you're dealing with these plants. So that's what I did. I repotted them. And look, no yellowing leaves. This has been a few days. The leaves stopped yellowing. The soil is dry. And then when I water it next time, it'll dry right through. It'll dry within 5-6 days like it should. Your plant should not be sitting in soppy, wet soil for 10 days, nearly 2 weeks. If that soil's staying wet, then it's something you need to amend the soil. You need to put some perlite in it. You need to make because see, that's the thing when you get the potting soil mixes from the basic all-purpose potting soil mixtures. They don't necessarily have everything you need in it. It may not drain as well as you need it. It may drain too much, whatever. But I've found that I like to make my own potting soil. Everybody's not going to do that. What you can do if you're going to use a potting all-purpose soil is you could just buy a little extra perlite and just put a couple handfuls. If you got a little bucket or whatever and you have your potting soil in there, just mix a couple cups of perlite in it and make it a little more airy. Because that's the thing when it's in the house. I mean, we're in the air conditioning now, so the plant is not drying out as much. Then it'll be winter soon, and I'll have the heat on, and the plant is not going to dry out soon. See, when the nurseries use this stuff, the plant is sitting outside somewhere. Nursery, all their plants are outside. And then when they sell it to the stores, a lot of stores leave their plants outside until they sell them. And this works for that. It keeps it nice and moist for that. But once you take it in the house, you've got a problem. I did that too also to my Chinese money plant because I just got this a few days ago and it's like precious. I think it's precious. It's so pretty and I can't wait for it to grow a little more. But I did the same thing. It had that same soil and I put my soil in it. And hopefully that that will allow it to dry out like it should, and it won't stay so moist. And then another thing I wanted to tell you guys is that I'm learning all the time. That's the purpose of me doing these videos, is that I'm learning all the time. And I've also learned recently that I put too much water. I would go to the sink and just douse it and just let it go, the water run all through it. No, I just put a little bit. You probably only need, a half a cup of water in your plant. Not 2 cups, not dousing it from the sink and it's just, if you run it under the sink, run it a few drops and go around. Because that's another thing. If you put too much water in it, it's going to take longer for that water to evaporate because the peat moss is going to hold on to it. The soil is going to hold on to it unless you take it outside and let it dry out some. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. This is what I've been going through this week. And I just wanted to tell you guys about it. If you think you're interested, come back, subscribe if you want to hear what I got to say. If not, I'll talk to you next time. Hope to run into you again. Peace out.